Hi, this is Randy. I'm on a rampage today, so I'm going to read a little bit from the National Association of Adult Survivors of Child Abuse. Some projections of this is sexual abuse only, so it does not include neglect, emotional abuse, abandonment. So, looking at child sex abuse, their projection is that 1 in 4 girls under 18 are sexually abused, and 1 in 6 boys are sexually assaulted by the time they reach 18. So currently there are about 38 million little boys and 36 million little girls. That means that every single day there are 967 new male victims every day, and this would be in the United States. And then every single day there are 1,385 new little girl victims of sexual abuse. And that boils down to every single hour there are 40 little boys being sexually abused in the United States, and every single hour there are 58 little girls being sexually abused in the United States right now, every hour. So that for girls it's almost one every minute of the day in the United States. A report of child abuse is made every 10 seconds to the authorities, and this is only sex abuse. This isn't even all the other types of abuse there is. Almost 5 children die every day as a result of child abuse. More than 3 out of 4 are under age 4. It's estimated that 60 to 85% of child fatalities due to maltreatment are not recorded as such on the death certificate. 90% of child sexual abuse victims know they're a perpetrator in some way. 68% are abused by family members. Child abuse occurs at every economic level, across ethnic and cultural lines, within all religions, and at all levels of education. 31% of women in prison in the United States were abused as children. Over 60% of people in drug rehab centers report being abused or neglected as children. About 30% of abused and neglected children will later abuse their own children, continuing the horrible cycle of abuse. About 80% of 21-year-olds that were abused as children met the criteria for at least one psychological disorder. The estimated annual cost of child abuse and neglect in the United States for 2007, so that was 9 years ago, was $104 billion. That was 9 years ago, man. Abused children are 25% more likely to experience teen pregnancy, and abused teens are 3 times less likely to practice safe sex, putting them at greater risk for STDs. So these are underestimates because this is just what's reported. This is only sex abuse. And as we know, emotional abuse is one of those hidden abuses. Only 7% out of all the calls that Child Protective Services gets is related to some kind of emotional or psychological abuse. That's because there's not that much they can do about it because it's too hard to prove, and that's why the narcissist uses it so frequently. They know it's too hard to prove, I mean, you basically have to have a camera and a tape recorder on them 24/7 and build up evidence as a child against your own parent when you're being psychologically and emotionally abused. That's not really possible. So the numbers are way higher than what I just reported when you add all the other kinds of abuse there is. And I just shudder to think what the real numbers are, just like I shudder to think what the real numbers are about cluster B personalities, because they don't go to treatment, and the medical professions and the psychiatrists and the books, they only can get their stats. I can't blame them, because they only can get their stats from people that come inpatient and come to treatment. How else would they get stats? It's not like you're getting a telephone call for a survey and then they're going to ask you about your symptoms and whether or not, you are diagnosed with something. Even if they asked you that, that means that you've already been to see a professional. What about all of those ones who haven't been to anybody? I mean, this mental illness and personality disorder is just rampant, and we can see it every day in society, and people just, act like it's normal, and it's not. Thanks for listening.